Hi, I'm Kili, also known as Kelly.
And I'm Feely, also known as Alex.
Welcome to our corner of the Shire,
where we will show you how to bring Middle Earth
into your daily life to keep you
a happy hobbit.
Welcome to this episode of Happy Hobbit. Today, or rather over the course of several days, where I'm filming by myself, so hopefully the production value is not going to go down too terribly, but I'm going to show you some tips to make your home a little more elven, or maybe, as in my case, just your room. But I've had a few elven touches around the home as well, so if I can, I'll show you those. And these are just ideas to make your living space feel a little bit more ethereal and to do my favorite thing, which is bring the outside in. So we're going to start with me showing you how I decorated my current nightstand to sit my more elven tendencies, or rather, well, okay, I do have elven tendencies, but I should say my elven aesthetic.
The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ball of fabric, well, they're called silk flowers, but in this case it's not made of silk, and obviously it's a vine, that I got off of, you know, that giant Mitchell Delving Mart Amazon. And in fact, I asked for this for Christmas because I foresaw many uses for it. And I'm going to wind this around the legs of my table. And it's going to be a little difficult to film because I don't know how I'm going to be doing that while filming at the same time, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, this isn't the most ideal angle, but you can at least see what I'm doing. And how handy is this? Just to set my little ball of vine in one of the baskets. So what I've grabbed, oh dear, now it's picked up a bunch of sand from my pocket. What I grabbed was clear tape. That just ran out. Let me get some more. Okay, I'm back and I'm crouching or squatting like Smeagol, and I have a brand new roll of clear tape. I think it's called Satin Finish Gift Wrap Tape, and I just found 2 empty rolls because it was Christmas recently and my family loves to wrap gifts. So, and we give each other a lot of gifts. So that's why the one I grabbed was almost empty. Okay. Now, as always, this is a bit of an experiment. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna try to secure it on the side where I won't see it. So if I want this end facing back, this will be facing the wall. The metal's fairly cold because it's quite cold out. See? It's not nearly as straight as I hoped. Alright, new piece of tape. I have this weird fear every time I'm like sending out a package that like when my fingerprint gets on the tape, someone's going to be able to lift my fingerprint and frame me for a crime. I think that's the side of my brain that's an author. It's like coming up with problems that don't exist. Just to keep myself entertained. Okay. There we go. You can see that, right? So this is green on green, but I love green. So that's not a problem for me. And I'm just gonna wind this around. I'm sorry, I know you can't really see me that much, but you know what? You want to be looking at the project anyway. I'm not the focal point here. I think this looks a lot better. And now that I see what the green looks like the vine, I'm realizing I could have done this to it while it was still that kind of tawny gold color, and the green would have popped a little bit more, but I really like this color. I think it looks like a subdued kind of mossy green, and I realize I'm out of the shot now, but I'll show you this when it's completely finished. And this ball of vine was, I'd say $10 or under. So it wasn't a big, you know, if you're gonna do a craft like this at home, it's something that you can use for multiple projects. So I'm just gonna wind this all the way down. I apologize, I know you can't see. Let me grab the camera actually. Okay, looks like a giant cabbage. I'm gonna cut this. And here you can see I have to tuck it between the legs there. The only problem is going to be if the tape comes unstuck, the whole thing's going to come off, but I guess that's a risk I'm prepared to take. So here's the finished table leg, or nightstand leg, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, I think it looks quite nice. And with this kind of satin tape, even if that were the part of the furniture facing outward, it's still quite difficult to see. And unless you're really a perfectionist, like for me, for example, that wouldn't bother me if I saw that, because to me that looks like you have to know it's there to notice it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of the legs, and I will show you the end result. I am kind of twisting it to keep the leaves all facing, like to keep the actual ribbon or whatever you want to call this in one direction. But other than that, I'm not worried about my twists being perfectly spaced or anything like that, because the whole point is to make this look like something more from the natural world. And nature, sometimes nature is very symmetrical, but when it comes to plant growth and stuff, you know, it's more pleasing to the eye, I think, when it's not totally perfect. It's creepy, you just saw this eyeball look at you. I have now decorated all 4 legs with my little ivy. It's so cute! This definitely looks like something elven. And originally I was thinking of maybe putting some as a trim up here or down here, but I'm gonna have to give some thought to how I attach that. So let me see. For all my talk of like, you know, how great this tape is, what I have decided to do, and it's actually filming a little bit, it's filming with more of a reflective surface than it actually has. It's actually still quite transparent. And what I've done is I'm securing it to the flat part on the part of the nightstand that I know is going to be facing the wall. And my plan is to try to wrap it all the way around, but we'll see how it goes. I'm just rotating the vine ribbon to make sure the leaves are all kind of facing the same way. And when I twist it around this leg, I am going to have to keep it taut, or else my little plan's not going to work. But I think that looks fairly good so far. And I'm realizing it's probably not going to look attached to... It's probably not going to look attached to the metal like I would have preferred, because I like it to kind of look like it's growing on it. So I think I am going to need to secure it with some more tape. Again, I'm just the scary eyeball in the corner. I could still wrap it on there. And there's a little more tape. And we'll see how well this taping method actually stands up to the test of time. I mean, as great as Scotch tape is, it isn't necessarily designed to be like a permanent thing. Okay. That looks better. I could be weaving it through these little holes, actually. I didn't think of that. Well, temporarily, I'm just going to do it this way, because I have a lot of this vine ribbon, and if I decide that later on I really don't like how I've done this, I can change it. Always be open to change. That's a great way to look at life. Am I in the shot at all still? Kind of. But like I was saying earlier, you guys are watching this to learn how to do this craft, not necessarily to look at me. Okay. I can kind of hide it. Maybe I can't. It's all trial and error. Feel free, you know, with any craft you have to give yourself that room to experiment. But I'm thinking I can kind of actually hide this tape under this other leaf. It's kind of hidden. It kind of folded over on itself too, though. It's kind of... Yeah, I'm going to have to redo that. For all my talk about only perfectionists will be bothered by this stuff. I mean, I do have a perfectionist streak, so... I guess that's why I know. And here I was all proud of myself for not getting weird. Okay. Fortunately, I took off some of the fabric, but... There we go. Alright. Da-da-da. I'm liking it. I mean, if I decide I really like this, I could always go back and glue it. So then I don't have the tape issue. I'm not 100% sure what type of glue you should use on metal like this. I would probably try crazy glue or super glue first, just because that stuff bonds to most everything. Some more tape. It's amazing what you can do with tape. And just twist it around for that extra security. A little more tape. And voila! Check it out. Okay, that corner I did kind of sloppy. I might need to redo that again. But I think that looks pretty cute. You know, it's not perfect, but that's the whole point. It's perfectly imperfect. And here we have it. I call this finished. I think it looks very cute. It's subtle, yet still noticeable. And to that aesthetic, I decided not to do a trim up here like I was thinking, because I didn't, I felt like that would be a little too patterned. Whereas I'm going for a more rustic look. Apologies for the extreme close-ups. It's hard to hold the camera far enough away from my face to actually film myself and what I want to film. So, yeah. You get extreme Kili close-ups when Kili has no makeup on. That's a scary thing. But, okay. So, the next thing I'm going to show you is what I did to a power cord in my room. This is a big, thick power cord that is powering both my computer, my monitor, and any other electronics that are necessary for living in the digital age. I'm sure many of you watching this are like me, and you actually, while you are incredibly thankful for the value of the technological tools that we have in our lives, you may not be as jazzed about, you know, having a computer in your bedroom or even maybe in your household, or having it be something that you have to look at often. I had a laptop for years, and in fact all of our early episodes of Happy Hobbit were made on a laptop because I liked being able to put it away and not have to have that technology there, just like loud and proud. Even though I had a really cool Fellowship of the Ring silhouette, like the Fellowship hiking sticker on my laptop, so even that wasn't enough to like make me be like, okay, I'll have this out all the time. But as it is right now, for work and for Happy Hobbit and for many other purposes, I of course need a computer. I have a desktop computer, but I have no desk. So what I have done with the little space that I have to work with is I got a long extension cord, an extension cord with a 6-foot reach because of where the plug was in my wall and where I wanted to kind of hide things. So I'm going to show you my tips for how to hide some of those cords that people like me, maybe again with the more Elven aesthetic, find, I don't want to insult the cords, like I'm not a cordist, but I will say, like, I would rather not look at them if I had the choice. So I'll show you my solution. As you can see, a regular old, probably probably from like the 70s or whenever this house was built, wall socket. And usually the top plug, I'm charging the camera as I film, so usually that's not there. Usually I have this really cool nightlight there. She's a little bit elven. She's more Art Nouveau, but Art Nouveau definitely inspired the elven designs for the Lord of the Rings films. But look, she's got a birdie, and when she lights up, she's really cool. So here's my big black cord going up my bookcase all the way up to where my computer monitor is. And as you can see, I have decorated it. So I can't get rid of this cord for obvious reasons, and I don't have an outlet on the side where I needed to plug things in. So like I said, my solution was to get an extra long power strip and decorated it. So this ivy is actually just on a green plastic coated bendable wire. And I got this sprig of ivy for only $5 at a local craft store. And I just twisted it around the cord. And because it's got a thin wire inside, as you can see, it maintains its shape. And you can angle it in different ways if you want to. And if you need to secure it somewhere, you could always turn to our best friend, tape, like we did for the nightstand. So as you can see, it's kind of coming up this corner here. And yes, this, I don't know what you'd call it, this trim, this like wallpaper trim was a surprise my mom did for me when I was like 6. And I still think it's cute, so I still kept it in this little part of my room. But you can follow it along. And usually on these types of garlands, on the end, they have a section that's, well, for lack of a better word, naked, so that you can use it to hook onto something else. And I may try to secure it that way. I have just had it sitting here like this. And I just really like, I'm going to back up and show it to you from afar. I just really like seeing something more green and natural looking in my space rather than a cord. And I'll show you my finished setup on my bookcase next. Hopefully my surface of my bookcase looks a little bit more polished. I just used some lemon oil on it. And there's my little Irish sheep next to a pirate flag. So these are my 2 speakers, and the cords are tucked away behind the bookcase, which is nice. I don't have to look at them. Obviously I have to look at these cords still, but that's necessary because if my monitor were to pull out, since I have it on a monitor arm, those need to be able to move with it. So, you know, sometimes you have to suck it up and deal with cords. This side of my bookcase, which is the side I don't see often because it's facing my closet, it looks like a bit of a mess when you look at it here with all the cords. But what I have done to try to maximize the use of space and also for aesthetic reasons is I have suspended the power strip. So you can see I tried to use one of those Velcro command strips. It didn't really work. I don't think I did it right. But this way, it's relatively out of sight. It's fairly easy to tuck the cords away. And the only issue I have, which I'm going to fix soon, is this red eye of Sauron. Because that red eye of Sauron is on whenever the power strip is on, I tend to not have my computer on at night. Like, I don't leave anything on this power strip powered. Now, since they're mostly pertaining to the computer, that's fine. But as you'll see in the next segment, I am putting up some fairy lights, or rather redoing my fairy light decor. So I will want those on more often than... Oh my gosh, look, you can see through my finger. Wait, where's my finger? You can see through it. This truly is of Sauron. But I want to have my lights on more often than my computer, so I'm going to find a way to cover that little Eye of Sauron so that I don't have that Mordor glare in my room when it's dark out. Actually, I lied. Before I show you my Elven illumination, I have a few more things to show you. For example, I have a curtain rod going across the top of my window that, yes, it did hold a curtain at one point.
Not because, I mean, like, I look out to the woods, so thankfully it's not to, like, keep prying eyes out of humans, I hope, or dwarves. No, dwarves would be too short to see in my window. But because there was a bird that was making a nest every spring in the eaves on the corner of my window, and every time I'd walk by that part of my room, I would terrify her and she'd leave her nest. So I got a curtain for that corner so that she wouldn't be able to see me as often. And I think that helped, but unfortunately I think that bird passed away because the nest has just been sitting there empty for a few years. So I repurposed my curtain for something you will see in a moment, but I will show you what I've done with my curtain rod in the meantime because I wanted to keep the option of having a curtain, and also it's a nice decorative object. I realize you guys are getting a look at the photos I have up as well. But here's my curtain rod. And as you can see, a beautiful photo of Kili and I. But as you can see, I've decorated it with ivy and with starlights. And I will show off those lights in the illumination portion of this video. But the ivy is broader leafed than the one that I have used on my power cord. And yet I think just as beautiful and as effective. And this is something I did. Oh, there's my mom and sister and I on Fairy Hill in Scotland, on the Isle of Skye. But this is something that I did ages ago, well before the Hobbit movies came out, well before Happy Hobbit was even, you know, a thought. As you can see, I used the same ivy trick over my doorway, just because I wanted, again, more nature. That sign is something my mom gave me that used to be in her room. When I was little, I never understood it, but now that I'm older, I do. Here is one of my favorite parts of my room. It is a branch that, once again, ages ago, I repurposed for a wall hanger. I just love the elegant natural curves. The wood is really sturdy, and what's really cool is it's only held up by two little thumbtacks, one here and one here. And as you can see, they're not actually puncturing the wood at all. They're just supporting the natural bends in the branch so that it's balancing itself. And I hang the necklaces that I most often wear on it. Don't know what that is. Looks like something kind of dumb. This is my chest of drawers, which I use for storage, and this is a perfect example of bringing the outside in. As you can see right here, I have, this is actually a dried sprig from a redwood tree, and how this one dried, they won't always turn out like this, but I was fortunate that this one dried pretty solid, so the needles aren't falling off. But usually when I bring the outside in and it starts disintegrating, that's time to let it go back to nature. This is a recent thing that I found on a hike, just a mossy piece of wood that I thought was really cool. And these things just bring me pleasure, so I want to be able to look at them. This is a candle holder that I got in Newgrange, Ireland at a Neolithic site. That's an ancient symbol. Nobody knows quite what it means, but I thought it was really pretty. And unfortunately, it's not big enough to actually hold a little tea light candle, so I use it for my earrings. This is a wishnick that I've had since I was a little child. It's a little troll, I think from Norway, and he's supposed to bring you good luck, and I think he's adorable. These are some oak leaves and acorns, some from southern France and some from Switzerland from my adventures this summer. I can't tell them apart anymore. See, that's the problem when you start collecting all these treasures. You get duplicates and they mean something to you at the time, but then they just become pretty things, and that's fine. That's all they have to be. This is a leaf from one of the trees on our property that, again, for some reason it dried and it maintained its color. So I liked that. And pine cones. I love pine cones. I don't know why I can't get enough of pine cones. I think they're so beautiful. They also remind me of dragon eggs or dragon scales. And speaking of dragons, this piece of oak bark, look at it. Doesn't it look like, to me, it looks like a dinosaur dragon skin or something. So I really like that and I kept it. Obviously lots of moss. There's a tiny little wild bird feather in there as well. And that statue, I know he looks a little bit scary. He's Cernunnos. He's actually
not a scary figure. He's supposed to represent like humans and nature coexisting. So he's part deer and part man. And yeah, so I thought you would enjoy yet another great photo of me and Feely. I thought you would enjoy seeing my setup. Oh yes, and this candle. This is the Green Man, who could be one of Tolkien's inspirations for Ents. There's a lot of different versions of the Green Man, but in general, he represents something similar to Carnunos, which is the bond between humanity and nature and maintaining that respect for nature, which you could totally argue is a role that the Ents play. This is a yarn bowl that was gifted to me, and you're supposed to put a ball of yarn in there and have the string come out here so it doesn't get tangled, and I really should try using it for that one day, but I just thought the bowl was so pretty. I wanted to look at it. I guess I like swirls and stuff, and I just happen to have a candle in it at the moment. That is my chest of drawers. Okay, I will be the first to admit that this shelf brings the whole concept of bringing the outside into a new level. I mean, it's literally used for almost nothing else other than things that I like from the natural world. A sprig of Douglas fir that is now totally dried out, I should probably get rid of. More pine cones, more interesting sticks. That castle is my clan's castle in Scotland. More beautiful bark. More dried flowers and pine cones. More wood. Look at that beautiful piece of birch. See, the thing is, it's like I just find so much pleasure in looking at these things. A deer antler that my dog, who's been dead for like 20 years, gave me when I was a child. Oak leaves from Ireland, from one of its ancient oak groves. A little fairy house. More bark. A little fox, another pine cone. Statue of Artemis, because I think she's so awesome. Oh, look at this. Jewelry box my aunt made me, and it's all decorated with Middle-earth. And I cannot finish showing you this part of my room without showcasing this gorgeous staff that a female wizard made for me. Is there a word for female wizard? Wizardess? She came to visit once, back when I first started Happy Hobbit, and we had some massive sunflowers that had dried out, so we showed her the stalks of the sunflowers that were sturdy yet very lightweight, and she said, oh, I would like to have one of those for a project, so we gave it to her, and she took it home, and she traveled all the way home, which was far away, and the next time she came back to visit, would you believe it, but she brought this gorgeous staff. She took that sunflower stalk and decorated it into one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And unfortunately, the switch for the lights is kind of far down, so I can't easily turn it on for you right now. Maybe later I can, but isn't it just so beautiful and creative? So I have that framing this part of my window. And I've added a few little things to it as well, like this. My keychain that I got in Hobbiton. You can kind of see. Well, there it says Hobbiton Matamata, New Zealand. Isn't that cool? The very top shelf, which is hard to see, is the last of my Briar Horse collection. Well, I won't say last of. My collection wasn't ever that huge, but I, of course, love horses. There's an American bison up there too. But look what's on the top. Some of the horses from Lord of the Rings. Shadowfax, Brago, the Rohirrim cavalry. In this corner of my room, other than my bow and arrows, I also have these dried herbs that I thought I would use one day. Sorry, that was my finger. But I haven't. I thought, oh, how handy, I'll use this to dry herbs and we can use them for cooking and stuff, but we haven't. But here we have some bay leaf, some rosemary, some white sage, lots of white sage actually. And on the far left, which should never be used to season food, is some dried out mistletoe. Mistletoe can actually, at the very least, upset your stomach, if not cause more serious problems if ingested. So don't eat that, but that's there for a, a certain holiday, Yuletide, Christmas time.
Once again, an extreme close-up. I'm filming this now, I think a month and a half after I filmed the rest of the footage, if not 2 months. So hopefully I don't look that much different, but I'm going to show you what my room looks like now because I've finished stringing up my new lights and I think it looks quite nice. These are my new lights and they go all around the perimeter of my room. A lot of these spaces you've already seen. And this is the most exciting addition. Look at them in the curtain. To make things really psychedelic, what you just glimpsed on my monitor is this exact episode waiting for this footage. It brings Hobbitception to a new level. This beautiful gauzy curtain had been on my window. It's the one I mentioned that I put up to try not to disturb a bird that had been making a nest. And I hanged up these lovely lights, curtain lights. And if you want to, you can even tie it all back and make it one bright sort of effervescent thing. I hanged this curtain here because instead of a dresser, I have this, and I got tired of looking at it. So I have that there now. And as you can see, the Eye of Sauron has been closed. There is electrical tape over it, so you can't see through my finger anymore. And now I can have the lights on in my room without having to have the Eye of Sauron on as well. Here is the finished nightstand in place. It's kind of embarrassing showing you like all my books and socks and hairbrush and everything, but it looks quite nice. And this beautiful little fox dish Kili gave me for one of my birthdays. And this is where I store the remotes for the lights and chapstick and things like that that I often find myself grabbing. And there's little baby Kili and I dancing. I've been this tall since I was like 12 or 13. So that is it for this episode of Happy Hobbit. I hope that it has helped inspire you in some ways to make your home or your space a little bit more elven and bring some of that magic, fantastical touch to, and hopefully bring some pleasure to what you look at, if indeed you do draw pleasure from these things. And if you don't draw pleasure from the natural world like I do, that's fine, but try to bring in and incorporate some things that do make you feel happy. And at the very least, this has taught you some tips on how to turn your home or your space a little bit more elven. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Next time on Happy Hobbit, Kili and Kili are running a 3-legged race. Kili chokes on her tea. I was trying to do a Survivor reference. Let's see. Didn't turn off. This is why I shouldn't film alone. I look like a white alien. Is there any way to look less alien? No, not with this old camera. Okay. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of Happy Hobbit and that it has given you some ideas to turn your space into something a little bit more elven, or at the very least bring the outside in. So until next time, is that a thing we do? Or say? It isn't, but I feel really weird doing this without Kili. So, okay. Let me start over again.